Good afternoon, Hillary.
Hi. How's it going?
It's going well. How are you?
I'm fabulous. I'm excited for our October episode.
Always a fun adjective from Hillary. It's good to be here again. We have our 52nd episode.
52 is a big deal.
Tell us about it.
Well, there's 52 weeks in a year.
Mm-hmm.
There's 52 cards in a deck. That's kind of all I got.
You can almost 8 more seconds and you'll be in a minute.
True.
Or an hour.
True.
Yeah.
It's almost to the point where you could round up to a minute, but I think that's more 53, but we're going to look past that.
Fair enough. What a educational experience by listening to 911 Wine for our listeners. So on that, we have a really fun guest today. I've always said that Dave here is like the Napa Valley Intel wine specialist guy. Like if you need to know anything about a vineyard, a winery, a wine brand, he's probably been there. He's probably researched it, and there's probably a very good dossier on all the details. It's impressive.
Wow.
So I'm going to brag a little bit on my friend Dave here. He started Dave's Travel Corner, which is like a travel blog, back in '96 when the internet, I think, was just invented.
That was kind of when blogs started to peak.
Yeah, and he was one of the first travel blog guys. So basically, I'm sure he flies everywhere for free in first class. He'll probably tell us that's a lie. And then he started the Napa Valley Wine Project in 2006. So 10-year flash to bang for that. And again, he creates some of the most accurate, detailed info. So we're really happy to have Dave on.
Yay, welcome.
Thank you both for having me on a Sunday afternoon in St. Helena.
Yeah.
Or no, what is today?
Tuesday
afternoon in St. Helena.
Feels like a Sunday.
It feels like a Sunday. He showed up with wine. We're pretty excited about that. Let's hear about that. What'd you bring?
Yeah, okay, cool. So when I was in Uruguay, in South America in 2018, I discovered a variety called Marcelon at Bodega Garzon, which has a strong connection to Napa Valley and now St. Helena on the other side of the trail. And I knew this, I was impressed with the quality of how it tasted and smelled, and I did some research and had some pedigree. 1961, crossed in southern France, Cabernet Sauvignon and Grenache. So it's a 50-50 cross.
Nice.
And so I talked to my winemaker friend up in Calistoga, and I said, can we plant some vines on your property? And he loves experimenting, and he said, yes, let's do it.
Nice.
So 400 vines went in 2020. Another 400 went in 2021. We got hit with frost. No, actually we got hit with hail really badly 2 years ago. So it set things back quite a bit. But this is the first vintage that my wife and I made. Right now it's home wine, no oak, just straight out of the carboy. So I sulfured it about 2 weeks ago. So for your listeners, they're in 250 milliliter vials here. We got 2 bottles. And we're gonna splash a little bit of these into our glasses right now.
I love it. That sounds great.
It makes a really dark wine, great acid. Of course, there's no oak in it, so texturally it's not where it needs to be eventually. But let's
Very cool. It's a
splash.
great way to
Let's splash.
kick things off.
Yeah. It's unique. So this grape,
That's very dark.
Mr. John Caldwell down in Coombsville
Thank you.
has some of this planted. He has 1,000 vines. He planted the same time we did.
Really?
And Mark, who's making his wines now, made their first vintage for us 2023. So we're very curious to see what we're doing between Calistoga and Coombsville. And Spotswood, I should not forget them. They have 56 vines, I think Aaron told me.
Oh, wait, of course. My God.
But that doesn't go into a single block.
Yeah, but this will be
100% varietal wine like we were going to do.
So
So
cool. All right, here we go. I'm just
So-
jumping right into this now wine
yeah,
right
so
off
this
the
is
bat.
you're only the second tasting I've done of this. My friend Peter Hopkins is a winemaker, also tried it.
Wow, that's super smooth, man.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
no oak.
I mean, there's
no
like-
oak at all, of course.
But smooth out without the oak.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it has plenty of character without the oak, both on the bouquet and the
Yeah.
palate, which is cool. It's always a good sign.
I was expecting
good sign
something to
for
be
a variety.
more angular or harsh, but it's not
Yeah,
at all.
no, it's
Yeah.
not. No.
I'm going to let Chris do it.
And I think that's also a
works.
product of the vintage.
Mhm.
A lot of the 2023 barrel samples I've been tasting recently have been really approachable,
Yeah.
11 months after.
Totally.
So
Yeah, I imagine that with a little more age, and that'll be great. That's really cool.
yeah,
Just
when we do it properly.
the weight and the viscosity of that too.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, I love the
It's awesome.
aromatics already. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
right on.
so something unique, but it also ties in our Cabernet, just so
can
much
smell
Cabernet in
the
the valley
acidity.
that. What's that?
I can smell the acidity
Yeah.
in a good way.
It's bright.
Yeah, it's bright.
Yeah, in a
it's
good
bright.
way.
It's bright.
Definitely. Well, right on. Well, thanks for bringing that.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
let's hear.
Something
Okay, so we've got some podcast. I mean, some
Police logs.
police logs. Hillary, what are we looking at today?
We're a little behind the times, but it's my favorite month which we're reviewing. One of my favorite months, December 2023, and then we also have 2006 December in honor of when the project started.
Nice. So let's hear a little bit before. I know Hillary loves to just jump right into
Okay, sure,
whose
sure.
cat was lost on Main Street and what bicyclist was hit on the Silverado Trail.
Wow, you went a little morbid there.
Because
Unfortunately, it happens.
because she wants to fix them, only because she wants to help. As a surgical nurse practitioner now. Also, we should
not
say
yet.
congratulations to Hillary
Thank you.
for. Can we spill the
The
new
bat's
beans?
out of the bag
Okay.
or the cat's out of the bag as of last week. Yes.
Good. So Hillary accepted. I'm going to totally speak for you,
That's
but
fine.
accepted a really cool new surgical job.
Well, it's
kind
more
of.
kind of.
You can talk about it.
But I hear there's a commute involved.
There's a little commute, so I'm not that our listeners care, but I got a new job, so I'll be primarily doing urology, clinic, and inpatient based. Hopefully, getting a little inpatient surgical hours too. I'm almost 21.75 hours done with a surgical certificate, but I'm excited.
That's
and,
good.
That's my personal story that no one.
Right on. Cheers.
Great.
Cheers to that, Hillary. Congratulations.
A clap on that one.
So come to me. I'll be accepting new patients for all your urology needs.
I will not make any jokes because it's not a joking matter. We're happy for you. Congratulations, Hill. So anyway, yes, we started with the 2006 police log, and why is that an important date?
Oh, first, should I jump in?
Yeah.
Chime in?
Yeah.
So that is when I first began the Napa Wine Project. And it was an article on my travel website. It wasn't its own entity at that point. And I had no idea. It started out as, I still have no idea what I'm doing, but it started out as curiosity about Napa Valley. I mean, I grew up in Santa Rosa. I spent a lot of time in Calistoga, back and forth. Grandparents had walnut and almond, as we say correctly in the farming industry. Orchards up in Red Bluff. So we used to come through. We have friends in Calistoga. But so it started out as curiosity, and then it became passion, and now it's complete and utter obsession. So it's 1,210 is the number I stand at now. Just so these are visits with the owner or the winemaker or someone representing the winery, and then I taste the wines. And I dig deep into the history, the stories, tasting notes, viticulture, anything relating to the winery or brand. And that is just Napa Valley. So
Wow.
I'm going to be pushing almost 400, unfortunately, of these profiles that I've written about that I have already archived. I think I'm at 375 right now. There is a huge turnover in Napa if you just look at the brands.
So like the
They
brand is
lost.
also-
they ceased production
Yeah.
for whatever reason. Death, divorce, they moved out of the county, they were absorbed by another winery or brand,
Yep.
vineyard
Wow.
sold, whatever. And then I have another list that I maintain, always updating it, of brands that I never had a chance to review that have gone away, and there's almost 300 of those as well. So since 2006, there's somewhere in the range of like 650-ish that I know of, that I'm aware of, that aren't making wine for whatever reason in the valley anymore. So the turnover is surprisingly high. But a lot of these are really small, and they don't have the exposure, and there's no publicity when they go away, when they stop producing.
Yeah.
You find out about it.
Well, how
internally
do you find a new producer? Like,
Oh,
what are
producers, wine shops, TTB, ABC, friends, people in the valley talking about you got a 911 obviously. Although, yeah, okay.
seven people might say.
No. Social media, people reach out to me. PR people sometimes.
Cool.
I usually already know about it by the time a PR person will reach out to me. But yeah, these are detailed reviews. They're try to be the sweet spots, like 2,000 to 3,000 words, but I've been up to 23,000. I think is my highest now. So Silver Oak is by the way, is the longest review of any of the wineries on the website.
We did a good interview with Nate.
Yeah, I listened to that one. I heard
Yeah.
that one. Yeah,
That's a great guy.
I mean, I'm sure you've already thought about this, but you should do like a yearly book. You know what I mean? Like,
my break from this is 2 to 3 months every year in Thailand. I have a house in Thailand, and so I'm there. I don't think about wine, write about wine, taste wine, dream about wine. It's just relax, reading books.
I love that.
There needs to be a compendium of everything in a book format, like the size of this
like an encyclopedia
table that we're sitting at.
But how cool would that be that every year you just did an
update?
Like a new volume.
Yeah, and this content for your listeners, this content's all free of charge. I mean, I don't charge for it. It's like passion project. I support myself through other things in the wine industry.
It's literally the Wikipedia of
That's what I mean.
Valley.
Like, how cool would that be to be like a coffee table book?
Yeah, and it's all photography too, my own photos.
Yeah. He does all of his own work. It's like the most, to me, the Napa Wine Project is the most pure form of like journalism
I appreciate that.
We'll sell it on the 911 website.
Yes, we can. We sell
or
it.
Instagram website.
And it also includes revisits, hundreds and hundreds, tasting wines, updating tasting notes constantly. And as I was talking to Chris earlier, I'm at 800-ish visits outside of Napa County, around the country, around the planet, of places connected to wineries here in the valley through ownership or through heritage. Cool. So it could be grave sites of prominent vintners. It could be names on college dormitories or other buildings at campuses. It could be restaurants. It could be other wineries owned by wineries here. There's been to state parks that have been associated with, I mean, just the list goes on. Gold mines, I mean, everything and anything. It's like I said earlier, it's incredibly obsessive.
But the great part about it is he like pats that all in there. He'll update it as he goes along, and then he'll have like all of the newspaper articles and YouTubes, any like resource data is like right there, so you can like look at it. So it's like super helpful.
And how often are you doing a new one?
I do 30 to 40 to 50 a year. It's there's less now. I've been to almost every physical winery in the valley. There are some difficult ones I haven't been to yet.
And to think we were excited about 52.
There's a few down in the business park that I may have not been to, but yeah, I have a lot more brands to visit than actual physical wineries.
And you've got a list too of
always
ones to go to.
I do.
Yep. Any hard to hit ones?
Should I mention some of these?
Yeah, you never know. We mentioned a few guests we wanted, and they came on. Others declined the opportunity.
Cool. We did just go to JJ Cohen Ranch, so we were able to do that, which
Chris
was fun.
set that up, which was really, really cool. That was my
V1,
because my reviews are V1, V2, V10, 20, because I'm always updating. But that one was over 6,000 words. Like, I haven't published it yet, but that was the longest V1 of any of the producers I've met within the valley.
Yeah, let's see. Which ones are your like dream? Top 3 that you really want to do and just haven't had the opportunity?
There's 3 that have eluded me. 100 Acre, Bryant Family, and Screaming Eagle.
Ooh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right, Hillary, let's put our thinking caps to work.
I feel...
I mean, I've been to, there's some other really challenging ones too that were actually surprisingly easy. Like the Harlan Family was super
That's great.
Cool, and just got me in everywhere and all
very,
the
very cool.
cool.
Well, once people realize like the value of like what you bring, it's just it's an easy sell. It's just getting the word out.
It's knowing the right person who knows either the owner. Or
I feel like these are doable.
I think they are.
All right,
let's work it.
Oh, let's see
where
it goes.
On that, if
have a funny log.
Well,
let's hit a log.
This might be Dave. If you got an appointment at 100 Acre, he would be, Monday, December 11th. Police cited someone for reckless driving 91 miles an hour near Bale Lane.
I love how they always put the speed, too. Oh, they cited someone.
Cited.
I thought it was like a caller was saying like they were going 91. I'm like, that is very specific.
That's very detailed.
What about on Thursday, November 30th at 3 p.m. a filming photography crew would be operating in the 1300 block of Main Street from 8 to 9 a.m. December 3rd. They reserved 3 parking spots and they would not be interfering with traffic. What were they filming and what did we miss out on?
Wow.
They didn't call me to be an extra.
Probably was the St. Helena Christmas special from Hallmark.
Don't even tease me with that.
Remember that flannel wearing guy who's just looking for love.
Bar owner that falls in love with that's already a Virgin River show.
I have a feel-good story here from December 23rd, which would have been Saturday. A 4-year-old boy was wearing his Christmas pajamas, obviously anticipating the holiday in 2 days. He was reported missing from his home on El Bonita Avenue. But the feel-good part of the story is the boy was found inside the house.
Was he still in his Christmas pajamas?
I'm sure he was. I mean, how could you... Wow.
He was hiding. He was playing the ultimate game of hide and go seek. He won.
He did win.
Maybe there's some alcohol involved with those overseeing this poor little guy.
What time of the day was it? Oh, 1 p.m. though.
1 p.m. Oh, no, that's right in the middle of the day.
I mean, eggnog. There's no time constraint.
Yes. What else you got?
This is fun. This is December 11th. Afternoon, 13:54. A resident came to the police department with a large orange cat who had been a stray community cat. The resident had been caring for the cat but was no longer able to do so. Dispatch contacted a vet and was told the employee would gladly adopt the cat.
Oh, now that's a happy ending.
That's a great story.
We have a photograph here of a handsome dude. I don't know if this ties in to anything on
That's
the...
LJ Montelli.
That's LJ. Somehow, for some reason, that picture pops up every time I look up the logs.
Oh.
I don't know why, and so sometimes I have to print half his face. But
Good.
Oh, well,
LJ's always here.
Showed up on my
good.
copy.
Do
my
we want
logs.
to talk about LJ's new car in town?
Yes, we
that's
do.
kind of
That's
a
big news.
crime thing.
Let's
I
hear
mean,
it.
I don't
Let's
know a
do
lot
tell.
about
Do
it.
tell.
What is a crime? I mean, that didn't make sense. Word vomit. Anyway, he got a new police car that's, I'm going to butcher this.
Electric.
I didn't actually read the whole article, but it's quiet.
It's electric.
They were the first, I believe, to have electric.
The Ford Mustang EV SUV.
And it's like
First
almost, they have their logo on the side, but it's like a whitewash kind of.
Yeah.
Like it's like very...
You gotta watch out.
Sneak
up on you.
Yeah, well, totally. I was taking for a dog walk. I was like, what is coming up behind me? And I was like, oh. I thought it was like a security car.
Yeah, you just gotta outrun it for like an hour, and then it'll run out of batteries.
But it's, I think, the new DUI tactic was my understanding.
What's that?
Like a DUI tactic, like trying to get people for DUIs.
Okay, because they're stealth.
With an electric car,
because he's
be quiet.
stealth, and
I
he's
see.
quiet.
Yeah.
But wouldn't they be in a car that's running?
But,
Just
but they don't
like-
see him because he looks like just a basic white
Oh, it's like
car.
more undercover. I see.
You know, I probably should have read the article more in detail.
Well, link to the article in the show notes. Oh my god.
Anyway, fun St. Helena news.
Nice. Let's see. What else do we have? Anything else good? December 10th, midnight, someone slumped over one of the tables at Lewis Station Park.
So I
He was just
googled
drunk.
Lewis Station Park in Apple Maps,
Where is
and
it?
it comes up in Stockton, so I don't think that's correct.
I don't know where that is.
I don't
It
either.
might be the one up here off of Church and Hunt. The little tiny one.
Oh, yeah. Oh, there's
I think that's it.
The bathrooms?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes
Yeah,
sense.
that's right across from Mike Kirgich, where he first moved his house.
That's it.
Good fun fact.
Yeah.
Because he owns, little known fact, he owns the building next to Anna's.
Okay.
Right? The on Main Street there.
You mean that would be Rombauer? The
Yeah.
boutique on
Yeah.
the corner?
Yeah.
That's Rombauer.
Is it
Yeah.
Not
Rombauer?
Kirgich.
I thought he owned.
No, that's his,
No,
that's
'cause
Kerner's
his wife runs it.
owns that.
Oh,
spot.
okay. Well, disregard. I will find out which one it is, and I will let you all know.
Yeah, let us.
Talk-
Maybe the other side of Anna's?
Talk amongst
We
yourselves.
have a report. Oh, we're going to talk to the microphone. We have a report on Wednesday, December 20th, of an unwelcome man who has been living at the cemetery for the past 2 days. But he did leave the premises after the officers contacted him, so I'm not sure where he ended up.
I think
Have you ever had any homeless people living in your property here,
Not
Chris?
that I'm aware of.
Do you guys ever think about, maybe this is just a crazy intrusive thought that I have, but if you became homeless, like where would you live?
Here it is.
Yes. I would try to find someplace warm. I would migrate south if I could,
Yeah.
like where it's always
Well,
warm.
just go to Hawaii. Just save all your
Yeah,
pennies
there you
and
go. There
buy a
you
ticket
go.
to Hawaii.
Well,
Yes.
Southwest flights are really affordable now.
That's the way to go.
They do.
And you get 2 free check bags.
You can't. You gotta choose your seats ahead of time now on Southwest. You
I
can't just
know,
show up.
I'm really
That was
upset about that.
Bummed. Shall we open this lovely?
Well, what's the other one?
This is a dry Riesling from Napa Valley. Can you believe that?
Let's do it. So tell us about that.
It's not Stony Hill. It's not Smith Madrone. It's not Trefethen. It's not Scott Harvey. So there's not many left. We're making dry Rieslings contemporary Napa Valley. So this is
Scott, like Misha's husband?
what?
Scott, Misha's husband?
Jana.
Nope.
They used to live on Fulton.
Different Scott.
Different, totally different Scott. Maybe they still have their house on Fulton. I don't know. But anyhow, this is Lanthanide. A beautiful dry Riesling from the Napa side of Carneros, but what I always call the deep end of Carneros, so almost to Mount Veeder, little hillside location. It keeps temperatures pretty moderate in that part of the valley, and the winemaker and her husband Diane Wu, she makes wine at Robert Mondavi, and her husband's in ag and farming, drone technology stuff too. But they both love Riesling, and I just got this wine into Oakville Wine Merchant a week and a half ago, so they picked it up, which is good. It's a It's a really, really nice Riesling.
Oh, I really like
That's
that.
really nice.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
I really like
It's
that.
like Perry and
And you can smell.
I almost get pineapple, which I don't think you're supposed to
You
get.
can
but
smell already. This is a 21 vintage. You can smell that petrol, that little diesel or little of that on the nose already.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
Before
I just think it's so
it blows
neat
off before.
to see different things in Napa besides the
I
standard.
love
you know?
seeing the unique projects in
And that's
this
why I
valley.
think-
And there are unique projects in this valley. You just have to seek them out. It's not all cab, Sauv.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like your Marcelon, like all that, it's just going to be cool. And it's going to be neat to have a different perspective.
Yep.
There's the argument about, homogenizing Napa that we've all heard. And, to some point it's true. Though it's nice to see some different stuff. But what are some of your favorite, like, off the beaten path producers that do things differently?
Oh, wow. Great question. This one for sure. I love Amelia Baca, who you've had on the show before.
Yes.
Because I listened to her entire podcast.
Wow, very nice. Cool. Cheers to Katie.
yeah.
And Vince.
The Tedeschi's up in Calistoga, just even keel, consistently good wines, food friendly. I get to try a lot of their older vintages just because I'm good friends with them, and those wines are so fresh and youthful over the years and reasonably priced for where the pricing scene is these days in the valley. A couple of places I just love. So there's a formula I look for like the most exceptional places in the valley. It's the people, it's the property, it's the history, it's the pedigree, it's the overall vibe of the property, it's architecture, it can be infinity pools, it's usually elevation in the mountains, but not always. So a couple of those places I really gravitate towards are Kongsgård,
Yeah.
Dalaval, amazing. There's a property up here in Diamond Mountain that is called Diamond Mountain Vineyards. 2,000 feet up, infinity pool. Quintessential day up there is when the whole valley's socked in fog and it's warmer up there, the inversion layer, and you're looking over just the whole valley. And it's it's almost spiritual. So just, those are the type of places I look for.
That's really
Continuum is beautiful up on Pritchard Hill. I mean, there's just, the list goes on and on. Guderian is another lovely little producer. Natalie Kaufman's 12-time Olympic medalist for the U.S. in swimming, and her partner in this business partner is Shayna Harding,
Where are they at?
winemaker. They were making at Honeycutt. They were making up on Atlas Peak, and now they're at Goshen.
Okay,
So
cool.
here in St. Helena.
It's amazing when
nice.
people have that cool history.
Yeah,
It's like they didn't stop there. They
Yeah.
did something else really cool too.
Yeah, and they're an example of when they're both extremely involved. There's not one I'm paying the bills doing this and that, but they're both very, very much involved in that. And then through my project, I just get a lot of cool, just random stuff. People email me, distributors. They want me to connect them with wineries in the valley, so I'm happy to do so. Chris knows about this project, but I'm consulting almost like a GM basically at this point for a 307-acre property in Carneros, 220 of which are planted, Taiwanese owned. And they're hiring 6 winemakers to do their own little take on different blocks from this
cool.
vineyard. So I'm organizing all of that, everything. It's taking a lot of my time right now.
Very cool.
So, so that's happening.
Yeah. So I was gonna say, if you can find Dave to help you with your project or set winery itinerary up for you, I mean, he's.
Oh yeah, I do concierge stuff too.
Like
That's also
concierge,
part of my thing. Just it makes sense to do something like that because I know the valley so well. And so that's always fun. But like you said, I love the unique varieties that people are experimenting with this within the valley.
Yeah.
Cool.
Very cool.
And I love the history. I spend a couple apps I spend far too much time on. One is newspapers.com because it has records of all the newspapers ever printed in this valley to the 1860s, 70s. And you spend 20 minutes trying to research something, and the next 10 hours is gone. It's like, what happened?
Has anyone ever hired you to do just research for a project as well, or is that just encompassing?
No, I usually just already have the research, a lot of it done.
Like a fact checker.
There's certain things I really want to find out, like certain properties, and I've done a lot of research. But the St. Helena, Miriam Hansen here in town, or Shelley down at Napa Historical Society, they're awesome. They're tuned into all this stuff. And
very cool.
and then Landglide is an amazing app. If I'm anywhere, I pull it up. Yep, that person owns that. That person owns it. It gives you. I mean, I don't know if that's all. Yeah.
What other
What are
good trade crafts techniques you have for finding out?
Use your left-hand turn lane when you're turning on the highway. Don't sit there forever. That's what it's there for. So,
That's a good point.
South of town.
Oh,
That's always good, especially with tourists. They get stuck.
Oh, I love it, man.
There's also a turn lane down on Old Sonoma Highway and Highway 121.
Mm-hmm.
There is a lane there. Use it.
Yes, please.
If you can. Yeah, so sorry.
So not only does Dave do wine and
He does
information,
traffic
is traffic tips from Dave. It's good. It's
Yeah,
good
that's
to
a
go.
whole other life. That's another life that I lived is travel.
So I'm really interested in this project. I don't know how much more you can talk about it, but the
A lot.
300 acres, six different winemakers,
Yeah.
like what's it going to be planted to? Who are the winemakers they want? Or who are the styles they want to go for?
Yeah, so they're selling in. They want to open retail outlets in Taipei, Bangkok, Singapore, and Seoul, South Korea.
Mm-hmm.
So all the wine, and I always have mixed feelings about this, but all the wine's going to be shipped to Asia, and sold through some of these retail outlets and other marketing that they're working on. This is a company, you'll find their products in Walmart, Costco, all over the U.S. They do gas griddles and also treadmills. One of the largest producers in Asia of these two products.
Wow. Missed that boat.
And so 6 winemakers, sparkling rosé, still Pinot, still Chard. The property is almost entirely planted to Pinot Noir and Chardonnay, so it's in Carneros. There's 2 acres, one of Tokai Friuliani, which Dan Petrowski gets at Massican.
Very cool.
Bumped into him the other day at the vineyard, and then they also get the Sauvignon Blanc there, but everything's Pinot and Chard. The problem is Utaipa, red blotch, and leaf roll are extremely prevalent, and so I think 192 acres have been identified by their vineyard management company that need to be replanted.
Wow.
So things aren't getting better.
Yeah,
With
that's going to be
any
a
of
big,
that stuff. They don't get
long.
It's a 3-phase replant project, so yeah, it's fairly intensive, and the cost of replanting these days, I don't know, we're talking probably $55,000-$60,000 an acre.
Yeah,
It's expensive. It's crazy.
and then that's
The cost of just ripping the vines out is like a couple thousand an acre,
Yeah.
probably $3,000.
and then figure that over.
I feel like that's a good job for like the local football team for community service.
Yeah, absolutely, great.
You know?
Yeah.
You're hop on
Like-
this tractor.
Well, maybe.
Or prison, or people in jails.
Oh, I mean, they do the prison, the firefighting.
Not anymore, hardly anymore.
No.
They're all
Well-
gone.
Now, is that like not politically correct
Yeah.
anymore?
We'll pay them.
Yeah,
It's not free labor.
$1 a day.
Yeah, they get paid little
They
bit.
get
Prison,
paid.
or jail, I think, or something. But yeah,
Anyway,
that's-
I'm just
yeah.
out here throwing out.
No, I mean
ways
labor is a very important.
to,
it's a critical issue.
Who was our one president that tried to create jobs a long time ago?
FDR.
FDR.
Oh,
This is
FDR.
my FDR project.
This is your new deal, Hillary.
You have a neighbor walking by. Do you know
What a
her?
deal. Oh, hello. Yeah, this house is definitely in the
People watching?
people watching
Yeah,
around,
you got the windows.
both
here.
to and from.
What else would you
Nice.
like me to talk about?
Let's see. Well,
What else?
I have a funny log.
I got a good
Okay.
story. I
We
told
need
Chris he knows it about the Calistoga. If we want to jump up there.
Oh yeah. Well, I'd
Yeah,
love to
I
hear
bet
this story.
that's better.
Yeah,
When you pull it up,
paraphrase
I'll
that.
just
This
read
is a
one.
crazy story.
Okay.
I mean, this dates from 1906, and the St. Helena Star detailed it pretty well. So we got a St. Helena connection.
Check it out.
So this is up at what is now Wallace Estate. It used to be Chateau Pacho. It's on Diamond Mountain.
Okay.
One of the owner's employees of Mr. Patchow, he was, well, so first I'll start, he was sleeping, or he was at night at his house up there on Diamond Mountain, and his niece and he were going to sleep. I think he was sleeping and she was still awake. One of his disgruntled employees, and I don't know what he was disgruntled about, entered the house. No, before he entered the house, he took off all his clothes.
Of course.
As
Because if
you
you're
said.
going to commit a crime, you don't want to leave behind the fibers. Because, 1906, the DNA was
Right,
pretty
right.
top-notch.
So this deranged assailant entered the house with a knife. And he went into the niece's room and tried to attack her, and she started screaming immediately, waking up Mr. Patchow in the room next to him.
Mm-hmm.
The assailant then went right into his room and stabbed him deeply in the chest. The handle of the knife broke off. They said that probably saved his life because it slipped from his hand when he was
Wow.
doing the stabbing. So this crazy then fled the house, ran 3/4 of a mile, presumably without clothes, because I don't think he had time to
I wonder if
put
this
his
is
clothes.
the guy that recently showed up in Calistoga that stole the
This
ATV.
might be this might be his reincarnated self.
There was a Humvee that was stolen over in Sonoma a couple of months ago. So then he reached the cabin where he was sharing with his coworkers, grabbed his shotgun, tried to blow his head off, missed, or maybe nicked
Wow.
himself. I don't know. When that failed, he picked up a razor. I mean, how graphic do you want to get for your audience?
It's a graphic audience.
Okay,
I'll be all right.
good. Okay, they're great. So then he sliced his own throat, completely severing his windpipe, and then that wasn't enough. He sliced his abdomen like numerous times.
This is a horrible way to go.
Yes. So he fell to the floor. His roomies finally figured out what was going on. They called for help, ambulance, and then
By horse?
yeah, probably, or maybe it was like early, right around that time when cars were being
A meat wagon.
yeah. And so there was a follow-up article in the San Luis Star, and they quoted the constable as saying that was probably somewhat under the influence of liquor. And all I said to that is, I don't know what you guys handle swearing, but I said that must have been some seriously fucked up liquor.
Yeah.
That's almost like the murder we had talked about a few episodes ago,
Yeah.
where they put strychnine in. Remember, the guy put strychnine in his like wife's coffee or something.
Yeah.
That was a while ago.
Was that a long time ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't a recent.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, this is wild. I mean,
There's
I
some
guess
crazy
so,
stuff that happens in this
1906,
valley.
you're using like a straight knife, a straight razor,
Oh, yeah,
right?
probably like for, like, shaving
I don't
or
think
something?
they're using a Venus or a Gillette.
Probably not.
Because I'm picturing they're trying to like.
God,
I don't think
Hillary.
that's
I like
good.
to break down these things, these situations.
I like to really visualize, the story. So.
Well, at least they didn't have 911 back then, so you couldn't get a stupid 911 call like this. This is December the 9th at 7:15 in the evening. A woman called 911 saying her husband had gone out to get food and was late getting home. Officers found him. He was probably searching for a razor blade too.
No, I bet he went to like Sunshine and got cornered. And sometimes you just get talking to people and you can't get out.
I see a theme with some of these calls, and it seems to involve alcohol, which results in other issues like domestic battery and this and that, and drunk driving.
The frowned upon things.
Yeah. There's a report of a man and a woman shooting an air rifle near Waco Park.
Oh.
They checked the area, but that's
I mean, you
the end of the log.
I got
Oh,
my
you get your
teeth
rat
shut off with
somehow.
an air.
Don't you have a
Airsoft
rat problem
gun?
you're trying to
Okay.
accomplish with a pellet gun?
I
Oh,
attacked
gosh.
them. I got rid of them.
Cherry season back when I was young.
Yeah, they're gone. Though I have had a few
With
mice.
extreme prejudice?
No, I use traps that I bought at Steve's.
Oh,
Shout out
boy.
Steve's.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I
Steve's
took,
is
I took
going
that
away.
personally.
No, so Steve's, this is good local intel,
Good,
is
good.
just consolidated.
That's all, thank you.
So they're taking
Yes.
as I understand it, they're taking the
Housewares?
housewares and they're moving it to the front of the
Okay.
hardware store.
Okay, good.
And then they're going to rent out the houseware section.
Local.
What do we think
clarification.
is going to go there?
I think they're going to rent it, I don't know. Which is troublesome because of the rest of Main Street is
That's,
quite
like,
empty.
Yes.
Yeah. So which brings me to my next point. Like, there's some challenges here in Napa, right? I mean, the wine market's down. We've got visitations down. Perhaps like there's a lot of buildings for rent. Like we look at some
Inflation.
challenges. Inflation's up. What do you think is like one of the challenges that we are facing here in Napa? Or what are some of them, and what are the answers, Dave?
Answers to
Let's fix it.
challenges visiting
Right here.
Napa. Yeah. What the city of Napa has done, I think, has arguably attracted especially the Bay Area crowd on the weekends, and perhaps the younger crowd for sure is going into the city of Napa. It's busy down there especially on weekends, and you see it's a younger crowd for sure. That might
Calistoga's doing that too.
Calistoga's trying to do that. It's helpful
Yeah.
that they have the airport 25 minutes away from
Totally.
Santa Rosa, or 30 minutes, whatever it is. I know there's Calistoga. I don't know if you're talking specifically Santa Lake because that's tough. But Calistoga. I mean, there's new restaurants, Theorem Vineyards. They're planning to open a really high end space up there, and what's her name from Alaska? The Lauer Estates. Betsy. They're also opening with the old. Is it the Wapo or no Bosco's?
That's finally going to be something.
Yeah, they're redoing that. They're going to do a tasting and restaurant in there. They've already got the licensing sign out on the front. So there's good changes happening in Calistoga, and I think that's helpful. I mean, obviously you can't get away of your geographical location, but if Napa is starting to try to pull from the Bay Area and Calistoga is pulling more from Santa Rosa, Santa Rosa's going busy. I mean, just there's a lot of
I'll
development.
let you know when I'm there.
Yeah, you're gonna
Scope it out.
You will be.
Yeah. So the challenge then is therefore at St. Helena, what can be done here to get people downtown, to get spaces filled and whatnot.
Yeah. I mean, I maintain that we need some well thought out hotels, and I think we've talked about this before, but I think
and that's what Napa did. And that's
They
what
did.
Calistoga's done.
Yeah, people have got to be able to stay for less
You
than
need beds.
$500 a night.
Yes, that's. I mean, yeah.
And some things that are open past.
So Long Meadow Ranch, I believe they're still progressing with that south of town.
Yep, I hope so. I think that's hopefully soon, next year.
Yep. Santa Lena's the bottleneck of the valley still. I mean, even with traffic, I mean, stoplights and backed up and all that. So, I mean, that's always, it'd be nice. It would be great if we could do something with that. The train tracks, like bring in even like a commuter or something, or just something to get people certain of these to the wineries that are located close by. I mean,
what do we think about the Vine Trail? Do we think that's going to have a big influence at all?
I don't think so. I think it will have a small influence.
it's an add-on that is just really cool to have for locals and also visitors too. I mean, it's a really, really. Every time I write that, I think Chuck McMahon and the gentleman up at Phelps who's passed on. But yeah.
Have you driven the new section from Santa Lena to Calistoga yet, or ridden it?
I've ridden parts of it. I walked parts of it, not the entire thing at once.
Cool.
But yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
It's confusing to me though, because there's like a bunch of different like angles and turns and
colors.
colors.
Turn to get through some of the vineyards that I think they had to get rights to. And that's nice when it goes back there by Calistoga, back by the through the vineyards behind.
That's cool.
That's cool.
I was chuckling though, as it was like the weekend after it opened, and there's people on it, and then there's still bikers riding next to the highway, and I was like,
why?
Come on, friends.
It'd be nice if Bella Union is opening there. That'll bring people closer.
Have you done a Bella Union tasting?
No, I have tasted the wines, but
not
just it's rolled into my notes on Fordiente right now until they
move.
Open. They're getting very close.
Yeah, I think that'll be soon.
Yeah. What other hotels are opening up here? I mean,
there's the hotel right down on Main Street, which would be so cool.
Downtown. Yeah,
what a great spot that would be.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, did that need like a facelift? Is that in the process?
Yeah, there's been issues with landlords too in certain spaces up here that just have not been very friendly. That have pushed out people. I know even some wine clients I know. I think Santa Lena needs to be just more welcoming and just reach out and just be more engaging and we could use. I mean, we want Main Street to be busy. We used to have the Cheers ceremony. You remember that?
Oh, absolutely.
That was good.
Okay, that was good while it was going, and then I think it just sort of fizzled out. It got too much. It got too much.
It got a little rowdy.
Yeah, and I don't think it was selling much wine for people.
No, and stores were stuff were getting stolen, and I used to work at a store on Main Street when I was like in summers in college during Cheers. And like I came to open the store next morning, there was like vomit on the stoop, and like someone had put a receipt with gum taped to the window that was like "Meet me at Anna's."
Yeah, geez. Use the park up here a bit more and have more events. I know the Italian American does that every October, but they don't really advertise that much. It's hard to find out dates all the time. So having that, just more exposure there for even holding more events there would be cool.
Well, think about like the community table, like that the hospital foundation puts on. Like that sells
you mean
out.
Down in Napa?
No, they have one here too,
one
and
here.
it totally sells out. It's a huge event. Like even just things like that, I think would be super cool and helpful.
Sure. And they close the street over here.
That's great.
That's I think that's nice. I'm glad the brewery stayed when Patrick left. Erosion. Just something a little different. That's cool.
And there's ice cream in there. And the new gelato place. I know we talked about this last episode, but I still stand by it.
All day.
And they super immerse themselves into the community, which is super cool.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, especially for you, Dave. I mean, you're traveling all the time. You see all what the different communities do. And So you're also talking about Dave's travel itinerary. It's pretty impressive. Like Dave will go to the farthest reaches of the world to just like go for a hike. He's like, I'm like hiking in Kurdistan this week, and like, what the heck, man?
Iraq last year.
Like, tell me about like some of those trips and where that comes from.
Yeah, some of this. So I started this back in '96. Some of these trips are through tourism boards, so I get all the airfare paid, and then once I'm there, I then can explore on my own and push the airfare back, and they're usually okay with that. And they're not all first class, but yes, some are business class. There's less first class these days, at least from the American Airlines in general. It's more business class.
So like. Literally, the Kurdistan board of
this was totally a personal trip.
Okay,
no, this was totally.
But sometimes, some places
often, it's usually Europe or North America, or Canada, or sometimes South America and stuff in Argentina.
So impetus for the Iraq trip, like what was that?
Oh, that was cool. Because I know you served in Iraq, so thank you.
No, I don't think.
But I was there. I was there. Yeah, it was
different experiences.
Yeah, the U.S. still has bases.
Probably
bases there.
Probably more dangerous on your end.
maybe. No, I felt extremely safe.
Really?
Extremely welcoming. And I was in
Cool.
northern Iraq. And I visited a village that is connected to Work Vineyard up here in Calistoga. Lamia and Sam, she's from Iraq, he's from India. And I called them from the village. She hadn't been there in 40 years, and she just broke down, just emotional, just because she talks to people. Her family's still there, but just to hear me calling from there, and just it was really cool. But yeah, certain countries I've learned over the years. So I'm at 180 plus countries and territories, so just all over the world. Just been very fortunate. And I learned that the most dangerous places are not always the most dangerous places, based on what the media tells you.
For sure.
Absolutely. And there's parts within those countries that are safe, even though the whole country gets a bad rap. There are situations where you want to get out. Like I was in Ivory Coast during the coup, like right when the coup was starting. In West Africa. Yeah. I got out. Because you could things were getting.
How hard was it to get out?
I got on. It was pretty easy because I got out in the early part of the coup. It was just starting.
Get a ticket and go.
I got a bus. Yeah. I got across the border. I didn't fly. Yeah, it was easier to go.
Because
it was easier to go to Ghana at that point.
They locked all the airports down.
That was what I was worried about.
Yeah.
When I was in Iraq, they're still very, very. I was like one of the more security conscious airports. They checked the cars. Many different checkpoints.
Did you fly to Kirkuk or?
I was in near
Mosul.
Mosul. The big city up there. Sorry. I can remember wine names, but I can't remember travel names.
Think about it.
Okay. Yeah. So I've had. There's been some interesting. When you search for Iraq in Google Maps, it brings up the islands off of United Emirates. There's one of the islands. It's called Iraq now because they build all these islands from sand.
I had no idea.
Jeez.
Good for them.
That's crazy. I was in Erbil.
Erbil, that's right. Yeah, that's really nice.
It's a rough city, but I didn't feel unsafe at all.
And then where else would you say was a really life-changing experience on the trip?
Life-changing was Nepal.
Really?
That's what I've heard
1996,
too.
Yeah, but for different reasons for me. But it's those mountains start where every other mountain on this planet ends, basically. It's a whole nother level. It takes it.
Jeez.
But I got really, really sick from food poisoning combined with altitude sickness. And we were up about 17,500 feet, and the guide recognized that I was not doing well, and you got to get down because you develop cerebral edema. Medical. And a woman about your size carried me down. Well, first the guide carried me down on his shoulders. Started at midnight till 3 a.m. It was so cold. We reached lower elevation in a stone hut. I was filling up. I was vomiting all night, and by the morning it was completely solid, frozen.
Oh my goodness!
It was incredibly cold. And then in the morning I had no energy. I physically couldn't walk. The guide left us at like 4 a.m. and said he's got to go back to the rest of the clients. And the lady stayed with me because she was also feeling bad. But she then carried me down the whole rest of the day on her back with like a sleeping bag, sort of like a sling itch. We both had backpacks. She'd have to go all the way down the trail, like 20 minutes or whatever, all the way down, come back, get me, and then we would repeat that all day. And I just physically could not walk. I was so weak.
Jeez.
She left a note on one of the huts, please help, and we kept, because we had to go down, but we were going very, very slowly, so it took a long time. And then when I got at a lower elevation, end of the day, it's like my body just like boom, back energy, back.
Wow.
Like, walk again.
How high were you at?
Switch. We were at 17.5 was the highest,
which
is I've been higher. I've been almost to 20, but not quite.
Jeez.
And after this is the first trip I climbed, I realized that if you have a problem with altitude sickness, you have a problem with altitude sickness. You got to go slow. And I love mountain climbing, so now in anything I've done, I take a couple weeks and acclimatize.
Yeah.
So I've done stuff down in Peru, and it's really cool.
Wow.
Peru's probably the easiest, cheapest place to get to for mountain climbing for the higher stuff.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And then you spent a lot of time in Southeast Asia
right?
I
have a house.
Tell me about that. How that came to be.
That was the first relationship, a long, long relationship with a Thai woman, and so I'm still in contact with their family. My house is close to where they live. So it's about an hour and 45 minutes east of Bangkok, and it's in the country, but it's 10 minutes from a major industrial park. So there's hospitals, there's great restaurants, hotels. People come to visit me. Like hopefully Chris will head out there one of these winters. And it's just I bring a lot of books. I garden. I just it's just a downtime.
That sounds
so cool.
Because this project is just pedal to the metal the rest of the year. So it's
Nice. And you talked about you and Julie making the wine, so
Yeah.
and you guys have become like adventure buddies together.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, she's from Ukraine,
She's
right?
from Ukraine. She's got a cool project. She's bringing in Odeski Cherny. I think it'll be the first time coming into the U.S.
Let's hear about that.
It's a Ukrainian variety. It's the most popular in Ukraine. And so I met Josh Wideman, the winemaker at Pine Ridge, 2 years. Well, I've known Josh before that, but I met him again at one of the premier events. He said, "Oh yeah, we're thinking about bringing this Ukraine variety," because I originally tried to sell him on Marcelon. And for whatever reason they decided not to. But they want to plant this in Oakville or Rutherford at one of their properties. And Julia has been facilitating everything. She got 2 cases of 100% varietal Odeski Cherny out of Ukraine in November this past year. I flew it back from Paris, got it here. We're going to have a tasting with winemakers, just an evaluative tasting to see which brands we like.
Cool. And it's red grape.
It's a red grape. Yep. It's good.
It's good. For everybody, what would that more relate to a grape be?
Probably more. So I should backtrack. I haven't tried it. I haven't tasted. Actually, I tried one bottle. I haven't tasted.
Cool.
This is Julia's project. She's been working on that. It's probably more like Cab Sauv.
Cool.
So I'm going to organize the tasting at Pine Ridge later this year after harvest. We had the plants, every regulation we could follow. They arrived 3 weeks ago. She's been working with the Foundation Plant Science equivalent in Ukraine. They were supposed to be at FPS here, and they said there was soil on the roots, and we have a picture of there was no soil on the roots, and it's just like we packaged it perfectly, and so they sent it back. So we're going to bring over dry cuttings this December or January,
and then just graft them on.
Correct.
Or something.
Yeah.
So what's involved in that? Like, how do you even start? Like, because there's all these agencies.
There is
all these
a lot
regulations.
of agencies. Yeah. She worked with Dr. James Stamp, who's at Napa Valley a bit. She had to make sure. There's a lot involved in all the paperwork and all that. I just helped her a little bit. I helped her more on just organizing everything and connections on that, because that's her baby.
And they make a decent amount of wine in Ukraine? I don't know.
They do, yeah. In the Crimean Peninsula, there's wine. There was, I think, 8 winemakers came over a month ago, courtesy of Gergich and Heidi Kuhn, who's nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. And they toured the valley. Cool. So we got to hang out with them for a couple days.
Nice. Yeah, Heidi does the Roots of Peace.
That's right, Roots of Peace. Yeah.
So
that's a really good
what they're doing.
Yeah, so there's a lot of cool projects in this valley just happening.
Very cool. Well, it's neat.
I'm just privileged to be a part of some of them.
Yeah, no, it really brings people together, and you always meet some interesting folks, and that's why I think you're so unique, where you can you just reach out and find these people. And you're there's a connector. Yeah,
there's one winery I should mention too. That's just there's no other experience like it in this valley. It's called MS Torun, Torun. Yeah, and he's like your dad, one of the hardest people I've ever met in the valley. He'll stop at nothing. Work. It's just constant work. Getting things done. And he's from Turkey, and he's brought all his heritage to a property just above Lake Berryessa, making wine.
Sweet.
And he has cow shit that he collected and dug a cave into the side of his mountain, and he's lined it with all this dried cow shit.
What?
and he brought in all this old winemaking equipment from his home here.
Wow.
Brought it over. He's got vineyards that are like this that are probably not. And he's building the world's largest heart, and he's building a monument to his home country up on top of the hill. And
where's he from?
He's from Turkey. He's Kurdish.
Kurdish.
Kurdish. So without a homeland, the Kurds don't have. And so he's amazing what he's done. He and his wife barely survived the fire. They refused to leave. They got burned, and they were fighting everything, getting the animals into the winery.
Holy smokes.
It's an incredible story.
Yeah, you can do that in Berryessa, man. You can kind of go on your own.
Yes, exactly.
Wow. So where's the next adventure going to take you?
I'm trying to get down to Brazil, because there's a couple wineries connected to Napa. I've been to Brazil a couple times, but Chandon. For those who know, there's 6 Chandons around the planet. It's not the one in Yountville is not the only Chandon.
I didn't know that.
I don't think I knew that either.
They don't. I've been to 4 of the properties now. They don't cross market their other properties at all, really. So when you're there, you just this is.
But it's still called Chandon.
Yeah, Chandon, Brazil. Chandon. I was in Chandon, India, in Nashik.
What?
Earlier this year in February.
That's what I wanted.
And they actually grow their own.
Oh
grapes.
yeah, they're doing sparkling. They're doing this. They just released a still Syrah,
No way.
but their focus is on sparkling.
Huh.
And there's one in Argentina. There's the mothership, of course, Moet Chandon in Champagne.
Mhm.
And then there's one in China, which I haven't been to yet, and then Peru or Argentina.
Wow.
In Australia, the one in Australia is amazing.
No way.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, it's
So
really,
cool.
So where are some of your favorite places to go though? Like what would you say your
Oh
favorite?
wow! I love as far as middle. That's a continent or region by
Okay,
region
yeah.
question. So Middle East would be Iran and Jordan. I've been to Jordan a few times. I
Cool.
trekked through Jordan in the middle of summer, ran out of water. Actually, had to drink my own urine.
That
This is-
sounds like an experience.
This is where the podcast gets really interesting.
This is where we dive,
Wow.
go off the deep end.
Oh my god. And you love hot temperatures. You're
I love
always
hot
like
temperatures,
you will go
yeah.
out to Death Valley at 130 just
It
to.
was
To be
128, 9 this last. Yeah, I do. I camped there during
Oh my
July.
God,
and
man.
I will never ever do that again. I almost died. It doesn't get below 100 at night.
This was in Death
Death
Valley.
Valley,
yeah.
Furnace Creek campground. There was 2 people in the campground camping. I don't know what the other person was doing, but yeah, no, I do like high
It
temperatures.
stays above 100 all day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they set a record this year for the most days above 100 in
Yeah.
a row.
Oh my
I
god.
mean, tell me, we see, and it makes a big difference at that
Yeah.
temperature from 127 to 128 to 129.
Yeah, I guess so.
It seems not, but it does.
I'm sure.
God. And then what was the Iran trip like? That's a pretty amazing.
Iran was
Yeah.
awesome. So I have a couple other passports, and I was able to use one of
Yeah.
those to get into Iran because the U.S. is difficult.
Yeah.
You need to go with a group, and you need a
For
visa
sure.
ahead of time. I just showed up. The country forces you to get travel or medical insurance like right away. You pay
Huh.
for it, which is cool, I think. But I felt very safe, even though I didn't feel safe. I was always thinking about the government, what happened this. But
Yeah.
as far as the people, that is the country that I've been the most welcome in of any country I've ever been to. They brought me into their homes. I mean, this is all legit stuff. There was no scams going on.
Yeah.
They introduced me to family members. They brought me in for meals. They brought beer for me on the sidewalks and came up to me. So alcohol is totally illegal in Iran, but
Yeah.
this is not
It's
alcoholic
just
beer.
working, yeah.
However, I also I embedded myself with a sheep herder, like a nomadic down south of Shiraz in the desert. And we ended up in a small village where they were making wine illegally.
Wow.
And I think that is the punishment, or severe punishment if you're caught with alcohol.
Rolled up pretty good.
Yeah.
And then how do these things come about? Like, how do you get a flight or cross the border? And like, besides being a charismatic and like good relationship guy, like, how do you find these hosts?
It used to be through couch surfing. There was a website, couch
Oh, I
surfing.
remember that.
And that's
Like
still
the first-
active. They have an app now that makes it really easy to do that. It's a little
I
harder because
totally remember that.
Yeah.
I will admit I was not a participant, but I remember it.
Yeah. And so, or you just meet people in restaurants, or
Yeah.
you try to be an extrovert. I'm more of an introvert until I meet people, and then I become more of an extrovert. And so meeting people that way is good. I used to just social media apps used to be ICQ, like way back in the
Yeah.
day. And then MSN was back in the day meeting people, and then they would introduce you to friends. And it's always good to meet someone local, just to have someone, especially in a country you haven't been to before, or don't know anything.
And then just
about it.
keep up and keep relations up, and then
Sometimes, long term. Yeah, absolutely. Peru for sure. I've kept relations with, they become travel buddies too.
It's way cool. Way cool.
So yeah, it's
inspiring me. That's
Yeah,
for sure.
I mean, our lives are so freaking short.
I mean, I feel like I travel.
Do what you want.
But then I
If
talked
you
to
can. I
someone
mean, it's
like
just
you, and I was like, God, there's so many other places.
Oh yeah, there's some amazing
I need
places,
to
and it's just
go.
great perspective to have. Just the outside, just these different countries, cultures, religions, how they do things, what they do, who they are, landscapes. I mean, just incredible landscapes around this planet.
What's the most remote place you've ever been?
Great question. Wow. Probably in Yemen or Oman,
Really?
like the desert of the empty quarter.
Just gone.
Just middle of
in the middle.
freaking nowhere. There's no one around, and Oman's awesome because you can just drive as fast as you possibly can. There's not no speed. You got to watch for camels in certain parts of it. But yeah, it's like you can go. You got to be careful because they don't pop. The roads aren't always the best.
Yeah.
So you got to be really careful on that.
And threat analysis there was
Very safe. Very, very safe. Oman, very safe.
Yeah.
Yemen,
not so
different
much.
story. Different story. There was kidnappings going
Yeah.
on when I was there. My friend crossed during Ramadan illegally on the border, so he had no stamp, he had no passport. He's the one who first told me, go to Yemen, check it out. So I wouldn't do that.
And traveling as a man compared to like a woman.
Totally,
Do you think a woman
yes.
would feel just as safe in these places?
In certain Middle Eastern countries, yes. In other Middle Eastern countries, I'd say, do not go. Iran, do not go by yourself as a woman. Definitely not. Oman, I have female friends who've gone by themselves or with other friends, and they said no problem.
What about Saudi Arabia? Can you even go? You can't even go.
So Saudi used to be one of the most difficult countries to secure a visa in,
Yeah.
and that changed about a year and a half ago.
Yeah, and now they're trying to welcome.
It's the only country I've ever received a survey after I left the country from the government. How did we do? All these detailed points.
Sounds like medicine.
Interesting.
Yeah, and they don't, public transportation's not developed. It was incredibly hot, and I walked everywhere, just like. At one point, it was me and a dried up dead cat on the sidewalk. And I went swimming. The locals don't really go swimming, and the city I was in, Dammam, wasn't really set up for swimming. There's rock walls all around, but there was no one out, so I just went swimming anyway. Yeah.
Now, do you clothing-wise, do you tend to like try to assimilate a little bit, or do you stick with your t-shirt and jeans?
No, I don't. I'll mostly jeans gets me by. A lot of the planet wears jeans. Not everywhere. But I've bought stuff. I like from Yemen. This was a good story. I don't know if we got time.
We have plenty of time.
Okay. Yeah, my sister was dating an Indian gentleman who's now her husband.
Yep.
So whatever. And she wanted me to get a full-on burqa hijab from the Middle East. So when I was in Yemen, I did so. And I gave it to her, and then on her first date with her now husband, she wore that completely. Could only see her eyes on their first date walking across the Golden Gate Bridge.
Interesting.
And then they were into the Fairmont in San Jose and a few other places, and police were called over, and there was a lot of mistrust of her her outfit.
Interesting.
They didn't know who was inside. They didn't know why she was there. Yeah. This was also closer to 9/11, so I think that might have factored into it a bit. But just some crazy stuff.
Wow. Man.
I find, and like personal note, when I travel like Europe, I'm fine, but other countries, like my hair is always a giveaway. Even if I pull it back, like it's still.
Yeah, Africa is an interesting place. I love East Africa. I've been over a bunch of times, but it's just there's a saying TIA. This is Africa. You do not know what you're going to expect.
Yeah. Like, define East Africa, like Somalia, Eritrea?
Kenya, Tanzania, going down the coast to Mozambique, all that area. So the wildlife's prolific. You get a chance to do a safari, that's just
really
a
cool.
really,
that's
really
my honeymoon goal.
Neat experience. Like, you'll remember that forever.
Wow.
Especially during like the migration season in December, January.
Sold.
And then there's been tough parts. West Africa is just really hard for me to get a grasp on. It's just I've never been inspired by the food or just the environment. I don't know. There's some really, really tough parts of Africa. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to really be smart about where you're
going. You got to be
smart,
and it's easier to be outside of the cities in some cases. Like Joburg is tough city. Just don't want to spend time.
That's what I've heard.
There's parts of the city. I mean, there's good parts of the city, and there's places that are gated and bars everywhere and all that. But but as far as Australia's beautiful. Antarctica's incredible. There's no other place on the planet like Antarctica. The weather's extreme. It changes quickly. The wildlife is different than what you find in other parts of the planet. Icebergs, bars, like the southernmost. Ukraine has I think it's one of the southernmost bars in the world. Like a permanent base. Wow. So you can go and get some alcohol there while you're climbing up icebergs. And there's penguins. Like if you're not too steep, there's like what do you call it? Like channels. The penguins slide down. Yeah. Like you're climbing ice and there's penguins sliding down next to you. It's like a really cool feeling.
That's amazing.
Where you're surrounded by penguins and they're pecking at you.
How did you get to Antarctica?
I can't afford that trip, so that was a sponsored trip.
I actually have a friend going.
Who sponsored you on that?
That was the cruise company.
No way.
So I had to get my airfare there, and the cruise company got it. It was like a 30-year-old adventure cruise, and it was 14 days. It was like 2 days back and forth to Drake Lake or the Drake Shake, they call it. I got lucky because it gets really, really bad.
This sounds similar. Yeah, it's like her dream trip, and she booked it, and she's going by herself. With like a group.
Yeah,
but
she'll have fun.
But I mean, hearing her stories, she kept trying to convince me to go. I'm like, financially, I can't do that this year, but it sounds unbelievable.
It is.
Very cool.
In actuality, it is.
And how much does your wine work here influence your trips abroad? Do you try to find the wine connection, or just
these days a lot of my travels are now for Napa Valley places connected to wine or places connected to wineries or spaces here.
Cool.
So other wine regions, Bordeaux by far is the most connected wine region on the planet to Napa Valley, through ownership, through heritage, through varieties, through winemakers, through education. So that's my most visited, connected to Napa. And then I love Burgundy, and trying to do a trip this year to Tokaj. Been to Hungary a few times, but never actually to Tokaj, so I'm looking forward to that.
And is that where the Tokaj Flame grape comes from, I'm assuming?
I don't.
No.
I think it's completely separate. Tokaj is the type of the wine they're making, the sweet dessert, the 5-6 Putinayos, however you say that, and from that region,
right?
Which I don't. Yeah, there's a couple connections there too. So, but yeah, I mean, I go deep. Like Silver Oak is like 8 states I visited just to visit places they connected to. Because that family's got stuff all over.
Yeah, and they got the whiskey business, right? The whiskey or barrels. They make
barrels in Missouri, Higbee, Missouri. They're Cooper in the middle of Missouri, and then they've got the ranch in Wyoming, and they've got Toomey up in Oregon, and family heritage Chicago and Illinois and Notre Dame. They're all. You go to Notre Dame, that's Duncan territory.
Yeah,
They've got the dorm. They have the student union. A bunch of stuff there. So
interesting.
Yeah,
nice. Very cool.
Cool. Well, if you had one like tidbit to finish us off with, like your encyclopedia of knowledge and travel and all that thing, like one, I guess, like morsel of knowledge or wisdom, I
I'm
guess.
going to go for a morsel of this
please,
dry Riesling.
Yes.
Anybody else?
Up here. I would say do it and get past fear you have of doing things.
I like that.
Sweet.
Yeah, because fear holds people back in a big way.
Yeah.
Cool.
It can be tough. I totally get it. But yeah, that's the parting word of wisdom. I
know. I like that.
It's great. Well, and on that, where can people find your Napa Wine project?
Oh yeah, so napawineproject.com. I do have an Instagram account, but I don't encourage anyone to follow that because it's pretty crazy.
Just a lot of photos.
23,000 photos. Your feed will just be completely flooded. So I really don't recommend following that. But if you really want to, it's Napa Wine Tasting.
Okay.
It's the Instagram feed on that one. And then just, napawineproject.com. I'm always updating. I have 2 columns on the main page, one for new reviews, one for updated reviews. But a lot of the updates, I never even get the main page. Only for the major updates will I put on the main page.
Nice.
Cool.
So if you're planning a trip and you want the down-to-earth detail,
I'm going to go on and look at all my upcoming trips.
So there you go.
Yeah, that too. Dave'sTravelCorner.com is my travel website.
Yes. Yeah. Does that have an Instagram as well?
Yeah, that's true. Dave
DTC.
Yeah, that's right. That's the one. Dave DTC. And that's a more conventional Instagram account.
I follow them both.
Good.
Dave, thanks. This was really fun. Love hearing about just your take on life and the way you travel and see things from your perspective. It's really cool.
Yeah, thank you.
And thanks for bringing this awesome wine. We look forward to the Marcelon coming out.
Yeah, that'll be more years.
Put me on the list.
All right.
Cool.
And thanks again.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Yay.
You enjoy your evening and be safe.